You ever find yourself in a room where everybody's just waiting for you to fail? Like, you can feel their eyes on you hungry, amused, ready to eat you alive the second you trip. That's exactly where I was standing one Tuesday morning, smack in the middle of the slick conference hall at Sterling Aerospace in Detroit. 200 engineers, executives, even a few local tech journalists all dressed to impress, and absolutely certain I was about to crash and burn. If you'd walked in, you'd have seen a crowd of suits and lab coats, with a male woman in a plain white shirt and beat-up jeans standing out like a coffee stain on a wedding dress. Center stage, propped up for everyone to gawk at, was their latest pride and joy. The R-7000 aircraft engine, a $2 million puzzle that had stumped their MIT Golden Boys for 3 days straight. Right then, Richard Sterling himself, the CEO, all drama and disdain, handed me a wrench, dropped it with a clang at my feet, and practically spat. "You've got 30 minutes. Fail, and you leave forever." The whole room roared with laughter like I was the halftime show at their engineering Super Bowl. Let me back up a sec. I'm Eleanor Mitchell. Most folks in my apartment building in East Detroit know me as the quiet lady from the library, a one who shelves books and helps kids with their math homework, wears the same sneakers every day, keeps her hair back in a ponytail, never any jewelry, never any fuss. You know the type. Mrs. Henderson for next door, bless her, likes to tell people I'm nice, but carrying something broken. Maybe I am. What she doesn't know is, a month ago, I applied for a technician job at Sterling Aerospace, not a chief engineer or anything grand, just a starter role figure I could keep my hands busy and my mind off old ghosts. At the interview, I was vague on purpose. Learn by doing, I said, fixed a lot of cars, worked in some garages. The hiring manager looked at me like I tried to sell him a square wheel. No degree, no certifications. But during the practical, well, let's just say I spotted things as top guys missed and finished the whole test in half the time. That got people talking, rumors floating up to Sterling himself, who, as it turned out, did not like the idea of some untrained woman outdoing his MIT boys. So he arranged this little circus not to test me, but to humiliate me. Yeah, that happened. The thing is, I'd seen this play out before, just on a much bigger stage. 5 years ago, Houston, NASA's Johnson Space Center I, was Dr. Eleanor Mitchell then, the youngest chief engineer in the Orion program's history, with a new propulsion system that was going to change space travel. The director announced it on stage. Me design, my moment. I remember searching the crowd for Daniel Walsh, my fiancé, my partner in everything, or so I thought. That night, I went back to the lab to grab a notebook and caught Daniel copying all our classified research onto drives. I'll never forget how cold he'd spent years painting himself as the genius and me as the assistant. When I tried to stop him, he triggered a false alarm, sabotaged the lab, and set off an explosion that destroyed evidence and ruined my right hand. 6 months later, thanks to fake emails, doctored footage, and bought testimony, NASA quietly dismissed me, branded me a traitor, and Daniel got rich selling my life's work. "You were perfect," he said in a deposition. "Brilliant, and just gullible enough." I packed away my MIT degree, NASA medals, and an engagement ring nobody ever saw. I disappeared, convinced fighting the system was pointless. But now, 5 years later, standing in Sterling's auditorium, with 200 people ready to see me fail, staring at an engine that was clearly a bastardized copy of my Orion design. Everything collided past, present, shame, anger, all of it. The engineers started sniping right away. "She's shaking. But she's never seen a real jet engine." Phones up, everybody filming, ready for their viral moment. Richard strutted, laying it on thick, 30 minutes. "When she fails, maybe others will learn their place." If you've ever been underestimated to your face, you know what that feels like, suffocating and somehow electric at the same time. I started working me hands, still clumsy from nerve damage, but my brain sharper than ever. 20 minutes to go, Richard jeered. "Need help finding the engine cover?" More laughter. But I could see it already wrong. Resonance frequency, miscalibrated compression ratio. Whoever copied my old design hadn't understood it. If this thing ever flew, it'd tear itself apart at altitude, could kill people. For a second, I thought about outing Daniel right there, blowing the whole secret sky high. But they wouldn't believe me. Not without proof, not unless I showed them skills no garage mechanic should have. Another engineer piped up, "Hey lady, prayers don't fix engines." But I kept working. 5 years I'd hidden now. Looking at this dangerous knockoff, I knew I couldn't walk away. 10 minutes left. My right hand cramped, pain shooting up my arm as I made every careful adjustment, but I mapped out every mistake, every deviation. Suddenly, the room went quiet. Maybe they sensed I wasn't about to fold. 5 minutes, Richard announced, time to admit defeat. Instead, I turned, found a little NASA pin in my pocket, ad astra per aspera, and remembered the kid I was promising herself to build engines that'd go to Mars. I remember my dad's words, "You were born to soar, don't let them clip your wings." I remember my team, my friends are all ones who believed in me. So, when Sarah Chun, their lead, mocked, "We don't have all day for your performance," I square my shoulders and ask for a digital micrometer and a fluke calibration kit. My voice changed steady, commanding. Suddenly, they weren't laughing. I tore down their pressure system in 30 seconds, something their best team hadn't managed in days, pointed out a flaw, so tiny you'd miss it if you blinked. Explained, in terms they couldn't argue with, exactly how their engine would fail and why. Because this is a modified Orion design, I said Colin help myself, and whoever copied it had no clue what they were doing. Now everyone froze. Richard started to stutter. I rattled off the real specs numbers only the original designer would know. I ran the fix, recalibrated every system. When the test fired, the engine purred, smooth and true, every light on the board green. James Morrison, head of engineering, voice shaky. "Who are you?" And for the first time in years, I told the truth. I'm the person who warned NASA about this exact failure mode 5 years ago when I designed the Orion engine. The room exploded, phones up, journalists scrambling, Sarah Chun yelling, "But Dr. Eleanor Mitchell is dead, disgraced." I just laughed. There was no joy in it, just a deep, weary sadness. "I'm standing right here," I said, rolling up my sleeve so everyone could see the scars. A hush fell. An elderly reporter in the third row, hand trembling, finally said it, "You're the prodigy who is going to take us to Mars." I nodded. Richard Sterling looked like someone had hit him with a brick. Daniel Walsh, I told them, sold my design to Lockheed for $50 million, and Lockheed sold it to Sterling. I pulled up the real blueprints, me name, hidden codes, everything. Then, holding up my phone, I announced, "This is a cease and desist. Your company faces a $500 million lawsuit for patent infringement." Richard nearly collapsed. But then I said, "I'm not filing it." You could have heard a pin drop. I didn't come for revenge or money. I came because I saw my own work twisted into something dangerous. That's all. And I looked straight into the cameras. 5 years ago, I let love and trust blind me. Today, I choose to fix what's broken and walk away. The engine was repaired. My fee is $1, the price of a cup of coffee, because excellence shouldn't be about gender or ego, but about saving lives. I turned to the crowd. You want to know who I am? I'm someone who believes talent lives in passion and grit, not on diplomas or where you were born. The machine doesn't care about your prejudices. Neither should you. People started to cry. Sarah Chun asked for forgiveness. James begged me to stay, offered any position, any salary. I told them what they needed was a new culture, not a savior. How many people like me have you turn away? Open the doors for the next kid working in a garage, dreaming of the impossible. A reporter asked, "Where will you go?" I said, "Back to the library. Back to helping kids who dream big and don't know what they can't do yet." I walked out into the sunlight, left behind a room full of engineers and executives, all silent, all changed. Maybe for good this time. Sometimes you win by not crushing your enemies, but by refusing to become like them. You fix what's broken, and you move on with your head held high. So now, let me ask you, if you were standing in my shoes, would you choose forgiveness over revenge? Would you fix what was broken, or use your moment to burn it all down? I am curious. Let's talk about it below, because sometimes the hardest battles are the ones nobody ever sees.